Okay, it says we're live. So, welcome from the Crossroads of America. Talk show about guns, politics, or anything else that crosses my mind. Answer questions from the audience, either in the chat or by email. At rickslifeasiseeit at gmail.com or spottedrick@gmail.com. I have a Patreon page, PayPal, and all that other good stuff in the info section below. So, let's see who was first in. Mystic Guns, then G23, Jason Stewart. Who else we got? Guns and Barbecue, MK Joe. All right. Can you guys hear me? Is what I want to know. Because I'm not, I have nobody in. I seem to be talking here and I'm getting no response. So, hey, Jerry Parker. So you guys can hear me. That's good. All right. I would introduce my panel right now, but I don't have any. You just got me. The email went out, but nobody's showing up. So, you're going to have to listen to me for a little while, I guess. So, oh, you can just barely even see my cat's tail in the picture there down by the door. So, all right, anyway, okay. What I want to know is I saw a couple of 2 or 3 videos this week, and I've never heard of these people before, but they seem to have a few thousand people following them each, and they have all said the ammo shortage is over. The big box stores are getting all the ammo. And I'm thinking, well, I have no big box stores near me. The only big box store I have is Walmart, and they ain't doing ammo now anyway. So I'm thinking, well, one of them I know lives in Houston, Texas, and he says there's all the big box stores have ammo now. And I'm thinking, well, out here in rural Indiana, we ain't got any. So, it's, I just wondering how the rest of you are faring out there. Are you seeing more ammo? Or is it just a myth that I'm hearing from these guys? And a lot of them say they can tell the ammo shortage is over. There's not a lot of it, but you can find ammo still on the shelf midweek in these box stores. So I don't know. I know that they don't have any ammo here. My God, Will and Well Armed. There's 3 of you in here. So I don't know what the hell's happening there. So who else we got in here? Kingpin, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you. Long time no see.
Yeah, finally got a little bit of time to hop in.
Yeah, that's good. I see Will and Well Arms having difficulties getting connected by the looks of it.
Yeah, I just got in. It took 3 or 4 tries.
Okay, great to see you guys. So Jerry Parker says BS called on the ammo shortage. BS, there still is one, or BS, it's over? How you guys found it, Kingpin, up there in Maryland? Is there still an ammo shortage?
I don't buy ammo from the store, so I source my ammo from other places. So I have no idea. I haven't bought let's see. The last time I bought ammo from a store was I bought the 150 round box of green tips from Walmart like 2 years ago.
Okay. So, I mean, your sources you're getting yours from now having any problems, or are you still getting it? All right.
I can still get it all right. The prices went up on me, and the wait time is there a little bit because inventory reasons, we'll say. They got to be careful about that. Uh, but I wouldn't say it's a shortage. I'd just say the ease of availability isn't where it used to be, but I can still get it.
Oh, okay. All right. Do you have any of you have Rich White's email? Can you send him a link to the room?
Yeah, I'll shoot him. I got you, Rich. Here it comes.
Okay. How about you in Atlanta? Is your shortage over? Or
No, our shortage.
Bullshit.
No, nowhere close to being over. For about the last 2 months, my range hasn't had any ammo for sale, and that's been about 45 days. Then this past week, I went there. They had cases for sale, but they were $7.99 a case, or $35 a box with membership. So it's not over.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought, what in the hell are these guys talking about? But personally, myself, I reckon when they were filming, they happened to hit the store the day ammo got delivered. Like it came on a Tuesday or Thursday, and they happened to hit the store at the right time.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of that Remington ammo yet. I'd like to see it. I mean,
hopefully that will it make a difference with Remington geared up?
Should make a difference. I mean, they were a top 3 producer, if not number 1 at the time.
Oh, that's good. Well, they're back. They're back in business. So, Rich White, good to see you. So, is the ammo shortage up there in West Virginia?
Yeah, not that I've seen.
Okay. So these, I think it was 2 or 3 videos. I just happened to be, surfing YouTube, and I happened to see that these 3 channels say the ammo shortage is over, and I'm thinking, what the hell are you guys talking about?
Yeah, I don't think the ammo shortage is going to be over until the computer parts shortage is over as well, because they're both running into the same problem. You got a lot of this stuff that's mined overseas, particularly when it comes to primers, which is why you're seeing the primer shortage. Which, if you talk to a lot of the ammo guys, that's what they're saying. The main problem with the ammo shortages right now is the availability of the primer compound that's needed to make the primers, which is decreasing the amount of primers that they can produce, which is decreasing the amount of rounds they can produce overall. You get the same thing with video cards. If you're into computers, right now they're having problems mining the materials that they make the chips out of that go on the processors. So you're seeing some shortages with certain CPUs and certain video cards.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Well, because what I'm saying is I've been working on, as you know, now that I am an official AR owner now, after all these years, saying I'll never get one and be over my dead body before I own one, but I've got one. But anyway, where I'm going with this is I've got maybe 300 or 400 small primers right now. I've got brass. I've got bullets. The only thing I'm hurting on is trying to find powder. But my cousin came over again last night, and he said, "You said you were coming this week." I said, "I know." He said, "I had some powder out for you." Said, "I might have put it away by now." I said, I'll be over tomorrow to pick it up."
Hey, real quick, Rick.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with large primer, right? All that different kinds of names. What round is the cutoff from small primer to large primer? Like, are the large primers like all your big bore, 50 BMG? Like, I don't know what would take a small primer and what would take a big primer.
Well, 45 AC. Yeah, go on, Rich.
Oh, no, I wasn't saying anything.
Oh, sorry. 40. I know 45 ACP is large primer. Trying to think. I think 38 special is large primer too. 9mm small primer, I believe.
So it's not as clear cut as the caliber size.
No, because I have seen 45 ACP couple of brands out there make them with small primer. It's rare, but there is a couple of brands out there because I picked up some brass at a range one day, and I couldn't figure out why my primer wouldn't go in there, and I turned it over, and it was a small primer pocket.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, but no, but you see, I use my small primers for my 380. So
And along those questions, is 223 small or large, 308 small or large, and Russian, AK ammo? What is that?
I know 223 small primer. So, but anyways, anyway, I've got things set up. I figured I'm good to go. I paid $65 for a die set, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, this is the ultimate die set. I mean, basically, it's got two. One's called a Colette thing that you only have to use if you're doing bullets out of your gun only or whatever, and the other one's a universal decapper sort of resizer type thing. But anyway, I'm looking at this. I'm thinking, well, it's got no like on pistol primers. On the lead, you can do a reload. You can add powder through the top of your resizing die. But you can't do that with rifle. You have to get another special die. So I got to come out with more expense now to add powder into these unless you lose. And I ain't going to load them all by hand. What's the point of having a turret press? It was to make my job easier, not harder. So, damn.
So,
I was looking at it before I came live, and I'm thinking, God damn.
So the ultimate doesn't include everything, right?
No, it doesn't.
So is that your plan, Rick? Is to broaden your calibers and start reloading more calibers?
Well, I'm going to start. I tried to reload for every kind of gun I carry.
Carry including the AR-15, or
yes.
Carry as like pistol?
No, carry including the AR-15. The only I haven't reloaded 9mm or 38 special yet because I haven't got the dies for them. But I've got brass for them both, but I just haven't got the dies to do it because I don't shoot them enough right now to warrant me doing it. I'm not a big 9mm die hard. I have the only 9mm I have is one of those Italian, 92. My brain's gone dead.
Beretta.
That's the only 9mm I have, and I've only got a Taurus 38 stubby revolver. That's the only. So I don't shoot them enough yet. I don't think I've put 200 rounds through either one of those guns yet, and I've had them for 4 or 5 years. So it doesn't justify it, but 45 I reload, and 38 special I reload, and 45 Colt I reload. Now I'm going to start reloading 223, because I plan on shooting that a lot.
Now, do you plan on running strictly 223, or are you going to mess with 5.56 as well? Or are you just going to stay 223 for the simplicity?
Well, for the simplicity, 5.56 is basically the same.
Right, yeah.
From what I can understand, correct me if I'm wrong, but my barrel says 5.56 on it, so you can shoot 5.56 and 2.23, but you can't do it if your barrel says 2.23.
Well, yes, that's a good rule of thumb, but if you're in question, call, like, my Mini 14 says 223 on the barrel, and when I called Ruger and gave them the serial number, they said it's that year because at some point in time when they stopped making the Mini 14 and changed it. So now I guess I'm going to say it this way. It might be wrong, but the newer Mini 14s are 223 only, and the barrel is stamped 223. The older ones are both, even though the barrel is stamped 223. But a good rule of thumb, of course, is if whatever the barrel says, stick with that.
Yeah.
I have a 22 Wild, and it's just made for tighter tolerances, and it is actually made for both 223 and 5.56.
All right.
Just more accurate, and it is a tighter chamber, but slightly tighter.
Yeah, if you can find them, the 223 Wild barrel is definitely the way you want to go if you're building your own AR-15.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like Will Arm was saying, it's got tighter tolerances, and the rifling's just a little bit different, so it can better stabilize the lighter rounds and the heavier rounds. It's just the better barrel overall for an AR platform if you're doing 5.56/223, because it can fire both, and it does. Some rifles you'll lose accuracy if you go from 223 to 5.56 or vice versa, because the bullet itself is a little bit different in shape when you actually look at them and whatnot. And the pressure with 5.56 is generally going to be a little bit more than it is with 223. So there can be variation there. So when they came out with the 223 Wild barrel, they compared the different rounds through it to see, and they refined it to a point where you're not going to see a huge drop off in accuracy between the two rounds.
Can I interrupt just for a moment, Rick?
Go for it.
I just put a link out into the chat. That is the interview that Big Johnson Guns and Gear did with our very own Wheeled and Well Armed. So go check that out. Thanks, Rick.
No problem. And Defense Dad, I made you a moderator, so you got the wrench now that you were looking for. So there you go. Hey, Guns and Barbecue, how you doing? See, you snuck in here.
Doing all right. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, so that's where we're at now. So I'm all set up to do the reload, and I just got to get the die now, because I use a auto powder filler here to reload my things. I don't do them by hand.
Yeah. Real quick, I got one more note on the 223 5.56.
Yeah.
If you get the Wolf Gold 223 55 grain, do not shoot that in a barrel that's marked 223. That is actually not 223 ammunition. It's actually 5.56 ammunition. It's made in Taiwan, and to get around Taiwan laws against exporting military ammo, they mark it as 223 instead of 5.56. It's actually M193 grade ammunition. It is not standard 223 ammunition.
Okay. There you go. Good info.
Good to know.
That is.
Thanks, Kingpin, for that link.
Yeah. So, no problem. Hey, New York Outcast has joined us. How you doing? Talk to me.
Good job.
Oh, he's don't know. He must be doing something. So, all right. So, yeah, because I'm having. I mean, like I said, when I went to the gun store, what was it, 2 weeks ago, I picked that up. Whenever I went to 3 different gun stores looking for ammo in my area, and there wasn't any. One store had some 22 long rifle, and but that was about it. There was nothing else on the shelf, and there was no. And the 2 stores that I know that do reloading supplies, they didn't have any either. Nothing. I mean, it's pitiful to see, really, but. Yeah, but hopefully with Remington getting back online, hopefully we'll start seeing ammo. Maybe not at end of the ammo shortage, but maybe, seeing some on the shelf of certain calibers or whatever. So, but doesn't Remington mainly do, aren't they a big supplier of the sort of like rifle ammo that's out there, like 30-30 and all that kind of 306, 30-06 and stuff like that?
Oh, they make all kinds of ammo. They make different shotgun ammos, handgun ammo, rifle ammo. I mean, you name a caliber that's popular in this country, and Remington makes a version of it.
Okay. All right. I just figured they were mainly, the bigger stuff.
No,
I know they do other stuff, but I thought that was their main business, was the mainly rifle ammo.
Oh no, not by a long shot. I mean, if you watch Paul Harrell's channel, most of his videos, when you can find it, he's using Remington green and white box pistol ammo in most of his videos as the control for when he's shooting the other higher velocity, hyper premium ammunitions.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, things are. I'm trying to think what's happening this week for me. Not much. I said my cousin told me to come over to pick some powder up, so that was good. So I'm good there. I got to order. I said I got to order the powder filler thing for my die set. Then I'll be up and ready.
Have you taken into consideration maybe taking up casting?
Oh, custom own bullets?
Yeah.
I've thought about it, but that's a more expense, and it's not. Hey, I have the time. I know I have the time, but it's whether I want to fork out that expense. Am I going to cast enough to make it worthwhile? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, good call.
So anyway, we're getting there slowly but surely. But I said I've got 3 mags full of 223, so I've got 60 rounds. And I want to be able to replace them. I know it's only 60, but I want to be able to replace them. And more likely, if I go shoot it again, I'm meant to be go shooting again on Tuesday. And if I shoot it again, I'm gonna hold one magazine back. Just in case I might need it when they come and try to take my guns. You know what I'm saying? So
that leads to the next question about the ammo shortage. Okay, if ammo is back on the shelf, are you still going to pay this stupid price for it? Not me.
Not if I can help it. But if reloading supplies have gone up, I mean, a good example. Right now, I'm trying to get hold of you can't see it here, but on my die sets sit in a quick release 4-hole toric thing that fits on this die. So all 4 dies are set. All I got to do is turn the base, and the whole lot comes out in one piece. Then I can set them in these. I don't know if you can see them up here. I haven't got the new one up here yet. I said this is my. It's going to be from a 223. It's got 4 holes in it, so the whole thing will sit on there. Actually, I think it sits that way. Can't remember. Anyway. But I'm trying. I got 3 of them, and I paid $15 each. I want to order one for this die set, and the cheapest I can find is $40. That's gouging. I'm sorry, that is goddamn gouging.
Now, is that new from the store, or is that on like eBay that some person's selling?
That's off. I mean, it's eBay. I think the cheapest I got is on eBay. On Amazon, I think the cheapest I found was $57. And I said I bought 3 of them last year off of Amazon, I believe it was, for $15 each. So, and you go to you go to the Lee website. Of course, they don't have any in stock, but I think they're still priced at the $15 price on their website. So,
Yeah, you got to be careful when you're shopping on Amazon for anything, because they have that marketplace thing, and you'll see that with Newegg too, which is one of the tech websites.
yeah.
They have the marketplace thing, and you'll have aftermarket sellers that are just using Amazon or Newegg's website to sell products, and they'll price things astronomical, where when you look at what Newegg or Amazon, and when they have the same product in stock, they'll be selling it for the MSRP, and then you got the other people that put a 3 to 4 times markup price on it. So that's what you got to watch for when you're shopping on those websites.
Yeah, you're right, but it's just the principle right now. They know they're in short supply, so they're asking a high price, and
oh yeah,
I ain't going to pay that price. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I doubt you've looked at the video card market, but we were talking when I was comparing that to you'll see video cards that they're supposed to be selling for $500 going for $15, $17, $80, $100 right now because of the shortage and people marking up the prices so high that it's incredibly ridiculous to try and build a computer right now.
Yeah. I've heard that, but I'm not into. Luckily, thank God. I mean, I was in computers years ago. You know, I got out of that, got into golf, got out of that. Now I'm into guns. So, you know, I don't know what's worse. Hang on, so I'm reading Two Gun Kitty. Is it wrong, or to quote a Duke Schmooth, to undercut an overpriced ammo dealer at a gun show? He was priced $40 for 50 rounds. I told a guy I wouldn't sell him $100 for. I would sell him 100 rounds for $50. Of course, the guy brought mine. Hey, I don't think it's wrong.
No, nothing wrong about that. You're competing with them. That just gives them competition. If they want to sell theirs for 40 for 50 and you're selling 100 for 50, that's on him. You made you offered the better deal. The guy took it. That's what competition's all about. Free market system.
I'd say for the gun show, that's absolutely fantastic. Go for it. Get that money. If you're in a gun store, at least wait till you get outside the store before you try to make a deal.
Yeah, that's a totally different situation.
But yeah, anywhere else outside of an actual brick and mortar gun store, and definitely at a gun show, screw those dudes.
Yeah, it's like they were the guys that went to Tulsa were talking about the ammo prices. It was like, I wouldn't have bought ammo unless I found one of the really good deals like Buck did, or they found for roll call. But some of those other things, you have people selling bricks of 22 for what, like $200? Like, hell no, I ain't paying that.
No, I'm not either. I'm not going to pay a high price. But what I'm afraid of is like the price is going to be high, and I think when reloading stuff comes back too, it's going to be high. So I don't think the prices will ever go back down to what they were. I mean, look at 22s when that shortage happened a few years ago. I mean, the price went back down after they started coming back, but it didn't go all the way back down to what they were. You know, and I think that's what's going to happen here. They've jacked the price up. They're lower at some, but it won't. We're going to be paying higher prices for ammo than we were before the shortage.
Go ahead, Rich.
I was just going to say, yeah, I can see ammo being a couple dollars more than what it was before once they get the supply back up. But that's the way things go. I mean, that's sad but true. I mean, it's just the way it works.
Oh yeah, it gets back to that free market you were talking about.
It's going to work. I picture it working in like a wave. Magically tomorrow, all your stores are full shelves for all week long, and then we are going to go in and buy it all because it's cheaper. So we're going to buy a whole ton while it's cheap, and then it's going to be gone again. And then it's going to come back, and each time it's incrementally going to get more expensive. And please stop blaming the new gun owners. it's not the new gun owners, it's you. So just face up to it. Be honest. You did this, not them. And when it gets screwed up again, it's your fault, not theirs.
Yeah. I read in some other chat I was reading. I was just watching the show, and I'm just reading in the chat. And some guy says, I think it was the same guy who scored on toilet paper when he didn't read it. He goes, I just scored X, I think it was 100 rounds of 40 mil, and I don't even have a 40 mil gun. He just bought it for the sake of buying it. That's why we have a problem, because of people doing shit like that. Why buy 100 rounds of 40 when you don't even have a gun to shoot it out of?
Yep, 100%. And say, I heard a story about a guy was at the store with his buddy, and his buddy picked up like 5 boxes of 257 Roberts, and he was like, didn't know you had a 257 Roberts, and he's like, I don't, but whatever ammo I find, I'm buying.
Yeah, and that's why we have a shortage.
Now, I have heard of people that are doing that, and then they sit on it, and they find somebody that needs that, and then they say, hey, I'll trade you this for this. So there's some horse trading going on with this, and in that sense I could almost understand it. But something that obscure, what are the odds of finding somebody that needs that?
True. I'm not, what I'm saying, if I walked into a gun store right now, I'm hurting, so I might do it. And say there was 4 boxes of 223 on the shelf, right? And there was no limit on to what you could buy.
At what price, Rick?
I'm just using it as an example. It's out there and I need it. I'm willing to pay the price, whatever it happens to be. I would only buy 3 of them. I would leave one for somebody else, because that's just the kind of guy I am.
I'd buy them all.
Well, see, there you go. Because you're
If I
don't give a damn. People call me what they want, but at regular prices, I'd buy them all. And that's my normal habits, basically, unless it was a truckload or something. But 4 boxes, yeah, I'd snatch that up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if I need it and it's there, then I'm gonna take what I need.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw Tuca and Kitty followed up with that guy at the gun show. You said the guy confronted him 90 minutes later, and when he walked by the table and said he doesn't want him near your table, and told him he could have him removed from the show. No, he couldn't. No more than they can. He could have had somebody with a rifle that he was the same rifle he was selling with a sign saying "rifle for sale" walking by his table. Can't remove you for that. That's perfectly acceptable to do at a gun show. People do it all the time with firearms and ammunition. So he couldn't have you removed if he wanted to.
No.
I say, Rick, you're right, and I say, Rob, you're right. Rick, you leaving a box on the shelf for the next guy. That's right. Good thing you do that, Rob. If the trailer pulls up with 10 million rounds on it, and you got Squib's credit card, buy every round.
Yeah, especially if you got Squib's credit card.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, Squib will just get a second job to pay down that credit card. So yeah, if you got Squib's credit card number, go and buy all the ammo you want with it.
Yep.
Hey, Squib, how's it going?
I'm leaving the gun show heavy 2 Arisakas.
That means you bought 2 guns.
Yeah, he bought
Credit
2
card
Japanese
took a
World
hit.
War II rifles.
Nice, man. Congratulations.
Now, do they have the anti-aircraft sights on them?
No.
Oh, darn. Those are the cool ones when they have that. That's just how optimistic the Japanese were that they put anti-aircraft sights on the Arisaka rifles.
We're talking about deals. Did you get a deal, or did you overpay just because you wanted? How'd that work out? You don't have to say how much you spent, but
My goal was to pick up 2, one for my youngest son and one for myself. And I knew which kind I was looking for because there are variations. And I wanted to pay 2019 prices because that's the last time I ever looked at these at a gun show. And I filled all of those boxes. I checked all those boxes. So I was pretty happy. I will say this. Some stuff was marked up a lot and other things were the same price they were. Because gun shows they've only been going on for a short time here compared to some of the other states. at least one as big as this. We have a big one 4 times a year for nothing but private collections of milsurp and antique stuff. None of those people are FFLs. These are old guys selling off their personal collections of guns, and that's the kind of thing that I end up going to. The other kind of gun shows I'm not against. I just nothing. I don't want to say nothing interests me there, but I really like the old stuff.
Now, next question: do they have the mum intact, or is it scratched out?
Negative. Both have ground mums.
Oh,
Both
damn.
both have intact stocks, but one has a sanded stock, and I know that ruins the value. But the bore was better on that one than the other, so I decided to take that. One has a repro monopod on there that was not original to the gun, so that's getting chucked. And they both seem to be in operational condition. I'll probably make up some reloads for them. Start off real light at first and just try them out. But these aren't going to be range toys. They're not going to be wall hangers, but they're not going to be range toys.
What is it? What did you call that thing, Rich? A mum?
Yeah,
What is that?
that was one of the proof stamps that was put on the Arasaka. The chrysanthemum or mum, it was the symbol of the Japanese imperial family. So what the Japanese did at the end of the war before they surplus the rifles, they would scratch that mum out to keep the imperial family from being disgraced by them having to sell those rifles off to pay for the repairs that they had to do after the war to rebuild after Tokyo and all those other cities were leveled basically by our bombers.
Every Arasaka that I looked at the show today had a ground mum, because that was something there. So when you start studying the milsurps and you start studying all the different variations, you start to get an idea of what to look for as far as what's more valuable or what is a reproduction, which sometimes you have to go with reproduction parts because the new ones or the original ones are either expensive or too difficult to get, especially if this thing's going to be a range toy. But if they're trying to sell it as an authentic part and it looks too new, it's probably a reproduction. And there's different things, like these had dust covers that rattled. A lot of the soldiers would pitch them.
Yeah.
So if you have a dust cover on there, it could be original or it could be reproduction. And they had other things on there, like the anti-aircraft sights that Rich is talking about. And depending on what it is, you can haggle the guy a little bit to say, hey, man, those aren't original parts, and try to lower the price. Or you can say, you look at it and go, oh, man, that's original. I got to snatch this up.
Yeah, generally speaking, if you find one that has the mum intact, that's usually going to be a war bringback. Because, like I said, when they surplus them, they would destroy that mum because they didn't want to dishonor the royal imperial family over there.
Oh, Patriot in the Dark just said, tell Squib thanks. I waited in my driveway for 4 hours and he never showed up to take me along.
It was literally a last-minute decision. I had some money. This is all cash, no credit. Surprise! I had some money, and I was trying to decide whether or not to go. And I said, screw it. I changed my mind probably 3 or 4 times over the past week on whether or not to go. I kind of really didn't want to go, but I just said, screw it, I'm going. And I said, I'm not going to buy something that is overpriced just to say I bought something. I'll go ahead and just eat the $12 to get in and go home empty. Well, like I said, I checked off every box, so good to go.
That's good. So you spent your $1,400. You used for cash. You used your $1,400 from the government, huh?
No. Just because I buy everything with a credit card don't mean I don't have cash. I just don't brag about it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you guys seeing what I'm sharing right now?
Yeah.
Okay, Kingpin, you see that right here on there? What looks like a little flower in front of the Japanese writing?
Yeah, I've seen that before.
Yeah, that's the mum. When they would surplus them, they would grind that out of there, so because they considered that being intact to be a dishonor to the imperial family.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, that is. So, but as you said, if that's still intact, then that one was picked up on a battlefield and brought home.
Yeah, more than likely that's where that one would have came from.
Yeah.
And at this particular gun show, they call it Antique Arms. You'll find that stuff. You'll find bring back from World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. I haven't seen anything from any of the more recent conflicts, any bringbacks. But one time I almost picked up a Chinese Tokarev that was a Vietnam bringback, and I said, nah. I kind of kicked myself because I probably should have bought it.
Yeah, but as tight as things are today, are they? Do you think? Do they bring back as much as they used to from the old days? You know, are they bringing stuff back? Are they bringing AK-47s back from? You know,
you can't do that, Rick. I mean, legally you can't. Illegally, sure, but legally, no.
Yeah. I wanted to add, before you guys answer that, I want to make a part B to Rick's question. Like, what can World War I, could you bring anything you wanted back? Now you can't, or is it always you haven't been able to? Like, what's the deal with bringing stuff back from a war zone?
Okay, so nowadays it's got to be something that you could buy here. For example, semi-auto, right? No full auto. And you might go, well, this was a full auto from 1920, whatever, so it falls in the... All right, if you want to do the tax stamp and all that, but I doubt your commanding officer is going to approve it. You got to get... Well, and it may not even be as high as your commanding officer. You have to have an officer sign off on it, more or less give you permission to bring this thing back. It's going to be locked in the armory until you get it back to the United States. So it's not like you're going to carry it around and play with it and stuff. And without that documentation, they'll just take it. So you've got to make you've got all of that, and you're really bringing back stuff that is bolt action, semi-auto, pump action, things like that. You're not bringing back NFA type items. The other thing with regard to that is that you have to be really careful because, you know, some people don't look at it that way. They look at it as, you know, they call it a war trophy, and that's what it is. But some people look at that in a negative light. Like, you only went over there to kill people and take away their property. And that's not, you're not stealing. You're not stealing if you're taking it off of an enemy soldier or enemy combatant after the fight is over, or after you've raided an arsenal or something like that. But without permission, there are other ways to bring things back that I'm not going to talk about on air.
One of my buddies brought back Saddam Hussein's son's gold Colt President, and it's pretty impressive looking. I've seen it. He donated it to a college museum recently, but he brought it back. He was the one that took him out, so he brought it back. It was a trophy, and it was approved for him to bring back. So pretty cool.
Yeah, there's some guns, the only way that you get them is if they're war bringbacks. Like if you have Korean SKS or Korean Mosin, the only way that you got those, because they've never exported them, is if you were over in Korea and you brought one back as a war surplus.
And some of these guns end up all over the place. There are terrorists in Afghanistan who have 19th century British rifles, okay? So you know what you're going to run into if you find a weapons cache, or you start picking things off of dead bodies after the fight's over or something. So you could end up with an antique. You could end up with something rare and valuable. You could end up with something a little bit more modern, I guess you could say. But it's not as common today as it was back in, say, World War I or World War II.
No, it's not. And they've made it harder to do it, too. I mean, it used to be a lot easier during World War I, World War II. You would fill out one form, have it rubber stamped by your commanding officer. They would pass it up to theirs. They would rubber stamp it, and next thing you know, you're putting something in your duffel bag and you're bringing it home with you. Can't do that anymore.
Well, what's the ethics on? Because in my mind, never standing in a unit fighting against another unit, that type of combat. When I see a war movie, whether it's sticks and rocks or nuclear weapons, I always think, well, the people who won, why don't they go get all the ammo and all the supplies off the dead people? What's the ethics on that? Like, in Afghanistan today, if I shoot a Taliban is it unethical for me to go take his weapon and all his ammo
Nope.
and his money and all that stuff?
Nope. Do you ever hear the expression "to the victor go the spoils of war"? There's a reason why that expression exists. This has been going on since men first picked up a rock and started fighting another tribe down the river. It's what happens. It's just a fact of war, and it always has been.
And some of the things they do in movies is not what you do in real life. I don't know how many times they run out of ammo and they throw the gun away. It's like you don't do that in real life. Or how much equipment they leave behind. If you can't carry it away, then you blow it up. I mean, there's things like that. And in the movies, you see these guys. I mean, not only do they have unlimited ammunition, or they pick up the other guy's gun and it works perfectly fine, and they shoot it like they've been carrying this around themselves for 20 years. But they just leave all kinds of stuff behind. And in real life, you do not do that. Not at all.
Yeah, I figured that. I know that much. I was just talking about like actual after a firefight and you're cleaning the mess up. Do you take what the enemy had, or obviously, I would imagine that if you're in the streets of Iraq and you shoot a Taliban or an ISIS, you don't want to leave an AK laying in the middle of the street.
Right, and that becomes property of the U.S. government, and they may bring it back to the United States and put it in an arsenal. They may use it for training. They may put it on display, something like that, or they may just simply destroy it. And how they determine that, I don't know. For example, the helicopter squadron next to ours, they had a machine gun in their hallway right outside their CO's office in a glass case. They brought it back from Iraq, right? So that's not an unusual thing on a military base, or maybe a museum on a military base or something like that. But that's not the main reason you go over there. Now, if you're in a fight and you run out of ammo and you're able to pick up the enemy's weapon and use it or something like that, then that's obviously you're going to turn it on them. But you don't want to leave anything behind that they can use against you later on.
Makes sense. It does make sense. So, all right. Okay. You guys got anything else you want to talk about? Because I got another topic. Not anything to do with guns. It's back to politics. It's a question I want to ask. And unless I could have missed it because I didn't watch the whole trial. Where I'm going with this is I noticed we still got riots going on, even though the man was found guilty and stuff. But when that all went down and they started our mostly peaceful protests where, it's the police killing another black guy. All police are racist and everything else. But I said I could have missed it. But during that court case, I didn't hear racism brought up once.
It's because there's no evidence to support it.
But isn't that what all the riots were about?
Oh, yeah. Public opinion and what actually can be proven in court are two very different things. And the whole verdict was mob rule.
It absolutely was.
Yeah. There was an interview that Tim Pool had on his channel where he was talking about it yesterday, where one of the jurors actually said that the jury was scared that these people were going to find out where they lived. And there was one of the media outlets that actually, I think it was CBS, actually stated they had the addresses and names of every person on that jury.
Well, if that is true, and the defense gets hold of that, they've got a minimum of a retrial.
Oh, they got all kinds of grounds to have that verdict thrown out. The judge himself told the prosecution that they couldn't introduce evidence that they had just gotten because the defense had no chance to go over it and come up with witnesses to rebut it. So, and the judge told him if they did, that he was going to declare a mistrial. Not 5 minutes go by, the prosecution calls a witness that starts talking about that evidence, and the judge did nothing. That right there on appeal is grounds for a mistrial and have that verdict thrown out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because I don't know. I mean, I watched that. I watched the whole video and everything else. I'm not saying the guy shouldn't have been fired for being a policeman and everything else.
Well, here's something else that came out in the trial that would dispute that. They kept saying that, oh no, that's not Minneapolis Police Department policy. The police chief got up on the stand and testified to that. The defense pulled out the training manual and went right to the page where that's exactly what the manual said to do in that situation.
Yeah, I saw that part. Yeah.
The lieutenant that was in charge of training officers in these techniques said that he had done it multiple times to different people he was arresting for longer time period than what Chauvin did that to Floyd, and the person suffered no ill effects from it.
Yeah.
The exact same maneuver.
Yeah. I mean, I and also the actual doctor who physically, the one who physically done the autopsy, said there was nothing that on his knee didn't cause no bruising, no nothing.
There was no damage whatsoever that would have been caused by somebody putting excessive pressure on the back of somebody's neck.
Yeah.
If you look at the way Chauvin had his knee, all his pressure, all his weight would have been on his right leg, not his left leg. If you've ever knelt down in that kind of position, just squatting down, and you have your left leg forward and your right leg back, which leg has all your weight on it? It's not your front leg, it's your back leg.
Yeah.
It's whichever leg you switch your weight to.
Well, if you got your leg where you're on the balls of your feet with your leg forward, that leg is not going to have any weight on it. All your weight's going to be on your back leg, which was Chauvin's right leg.
And even still, there's a thing called positional asphyxiation.
That didn't apply. There was no signs of asphyxiation.
Positional asphyxiation is always a risk when you have a guy on the ground. It's
no,
one of the
with the way Chauvin had him on the ground. If you look at the cord, hold on. Wait. No, stop.
No.
The medical examiner in the report said there was no positional asphyxiation.
They also said during the trial that fentanyl could cause asphyxiation by death, and that's one of the ways it works.
That's a totally different type of asphyxiation.
So why is fentanyl
it wasn't positional asphyxiation that was listed as the cause of death. The cause of death would have been asphyxiation by drug overdose. He had 3 times the amount of fentanyl in his system that causes a lethal overdose. He had twice the amount of methamphetamine in his system that causes an overdose. Both of those drugs constrict your breathing. He had an enlarged heart with narrowed arteries going from the heart, which you had some cardiac expert come on the stand for the prosecution and say that he had a perfectly strong heart. Not according to the medical examiner's report. He did not.
Okay, the medical examiner that's working for the same city that is on trial, right?
No, actually, the medical examiner works for the county.
Whatever.
And this is the same county that gave $27 million to the family?
98% oxygen levels.
Yeah, I was going to say that too.
But you can't really look at that. And the defense even said you can't really look at the oxygen levels because when they were trying to respirate him, they were putting oxygen into his system. That could cause the oxygen levels to go up to that level.
Right. You don't have to look at any one piece. There's 2 weeks worth of evidence that said that Derek Chauvin didn't kill that guy.
Yes, there is.
And he wasn't dead. He wasn't dead when they picked him off the ground. That's the number one piece of evidence right there.
That depends on who you ask, but the ones that didn't actually look at the body, one guy said he was dead after 5 minutes. The guy, he was still moving after 5 minutes, so he was not dead after 5 minutes. And the whole I can't breathe thing, if you look at that, as soon as they first pulled him out of his car, he starts yelling, I can't breathe. It's a typical ploy by people who are being arrested to say that they're having some kind of health issue.
Go ahead, Guns and Barbecue.
Why'd they pull him out of the car? I missed that part.
Why'd they pull him out of the car? Because they were arresting him because he was passing counterfeit currency.
Yeah,
that's the whole reason why the police were called in the first place.
What I had heard was he was already in the police cruiser and they pulled him back out.
Yeah, they
You
pulled
guys,
him up
look, hold
because
up,
they
stop,
couldn't get
stop,
the
stop.
doors closed.
You guys can't talk at the same time.
No, yeah, okay. Okay. Let me explain why they pulled him out of the police car. They pulled him out of the police car because he was basically pushing himself out of the car. He was kicking at the officers who were trying to close the passenger side door, and in doing so, he was wiggling himself back out of the car.
Yeah, you just shove them in more and you haul them off to the friggin'
Yeah.
county jail. I don't understand why the fuck they pulled him out.
Because
Friggin',
He was panicking. He was
it doesn't
panicking.
it doesn't matter.
Look,
The
hold up.
county jail can't be that far away. Let's say it's the friggin' biggest city in that county. And say almost guarantee it's on the outskirts of Minneapolis. And say I don't know how many times we had PSP show up at the county jail, and if they had a combative person, they'd call us ahead of time, say, "Hey, we're bringing in one. He's combative," and we'd have 10 guys stacked up at the Sally Port waiting for them to get there. And which most of the time when that guy gets there, and he's being an asshole in the back of a cop car because he's got 2 officers and he wants to show his ass, and he shows up and there's 10 corrections officers waiting to rip him out of there, he straightens up.
Yeah,
There
like
was.
Patriot said,
They
he was
didn't get
asking
him.
to be removed. Oh, go ahead,
They
Patriot.
didn't get him in the back seat of the car. He was panicking. He was freaking out.
Oh, no, they had it.
He was talking about being claustrophobic and all that stuff. The cops put him on the ground for his benefit.
Well, they had him in
That's
the
why they
car.
put him on the ground.
No, he
But
was in the car. They couldn't get the doors closed because he was
And
stronger
he's
than
not
they were.
in the. You're not. Look, Rich.
No, he was
I
actually.
understand.
He physically
You gotta
was in the
understand what
car.
criminals are, dude. You
I
guys.
know
None of
criminals
you
are.
know anything about being a criminal. If you put me in the back seat of a police car and those doors aren't shut, I'm not in that car. George Floyd was 6'5" or 200 pounds or whatever. Until those doors were shut, he's not secure in that vehicle.
Oh, I didn't say he was secure. I said he physically was in the car. They just couldn't get the doors closed because
That's
he was fighting.
semantics. That's semantics, man. We're having a real conversation.
Legally,
here. Let's have an actual conversation.
If you're talking legal testimony in the court,
none of us are lawyers, Rich. We're just a bunch of buddies sitting here having a conversation.
I'm well aware, but you got to analyze it from the court point of view too, because this is a court case we're talking about. Legally, by the courts, he was in the car, but he fought his way out. That is part of the resist charge that would have came against him if he wouldn't have died from his drug overdose.
So let me ask a question directly to Barbecue.
Go for it.
Point blank, yes or no? Do you think the cops executed George Floyd? Yes or no?
Executed? No.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there some onus of responsibility? Possibly. Like I said, when I worked correction, I mean, we had positional asphyxiation pounded into us because once positional asphyxiation sets in, from what I was told, it's 100% death rate. We're not bringing the person back. So whenever we had to rumble with somebody, get them on the ground, get them some dude, as soon as we got them cuffed, we're getting them back to their feet to avoid that. And knowing that he was having a panic attack, I don't understand why the hell you'd rip him out of the cop car during a panic attack and lay him on his stomach. Because he's already having a panic attack, his respiration is going to be labored and everything else. So you're going to lay him on his lungs?
That's what he asked for. That's why they did it.
Didn't he ask them to put him on the? Didn't he say, "Please put me on the ground"?
Yes, he did. And they weren't. Then when they first put him on the ground, if you look at the video in full that was shown in the courtroom, he wasn't on his stomach.
And how about the guy's a liar? He's not claustrophobic because he was just sitting behind the wheel of a car about to drive.
That's what I was just going to say.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's say there's a couple different scenarios here. I mean, yeah, you can say he's going from one car to another car. There's no difference, but there is a difference because now his adrenaline's up, things like that. He's not thinking clearly. He's now handcuffed, so he's restrained. Going from the front seat of a car where you got the control to the back seat. I mean,
let me ask you a quick
there
question.
Could be some flexibility, but at the same time, it's still bullshit. You know, you fucked up, you go into jail. And go for it. Sorry, Kingpin.
Are you? I'm trying to see where you're. Are you coming from? Squib's favorite devil's advocate point, just trying to get conversations going and stuff, or are you actually trying to take the side of this guy, George Floyd? Like, which angle are you coming from?
No, I'm saying there were mistakes on both sides. I'm not really trying to play devil's advocate in this case. I mean, I have no problem doing that normally, but in this case, one, because I know there's a lot of stuff with the case that I missed, like because I had no idea that he was initially in the back of the cop car in the first place. And after I heard that, I couldn't find out. I couldn't find anywhere why he was pulled out. I've seen where when I was working security, where we had to call the cops or something, and we're having trouble getting the guy in the back of the friggin' cop car. His legs are sticking out or some shit like that. We friggin' go into the other side of the friggin' cop car, pull him forward, get his legs in, and then we set him up and get the other door shut, haul him off. And like I said, then if he's having a panic attack or something like that, you're going to monitor him. But odds are they were 5 minutes from the jail, maybe 10. If it was that big of a deal, fine, take him to the hospital.
The problem was George Floyd was 270 pounds, and he was not a small guy as far as musculature. If you look at the size of these cops, their average cop on the scene was maybe 140 to 150 pounds and nowhere near as strong as Floyd was. He was kicking the officers off of him as they were trying to get his legs into the car.
Yeah.
Before they pulled him out of his personal vehicle, there's video that you can see he's got some amount of either meth or fentanyl in his mouth that he's chewing up and trying to. That kind of stuff right there is ultra dangerous.
Yeah,
that'll kill you. That'll kill you faster than getting shot with.
He still had
for you, Guns and Barbecue. Do you think the verdict was correct?
I never heard what the exact verdict was, whether it was manslaughter or murder too.
Guilty on all counts, which I don't understand how they can get him guilty on all counts, because that means that he intentionally killed him and accidentally killed him at the same time.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. But manslaughter, I could possibly see that, but murder too, I don't think so.
My advice, and I'm not patronizing you at all. My advice would be, you probably shouldn't do a whole lot of commenting on something that you really don't know what you're talking about. And please understand, that's not an insult whatsoever. The reason I'm saying that is there's so much information. There's tons and tons of information about this George Floyd guy. That's how come, like, there's a bunch of stuff you don't know because you're probably a normal person and you didn't feel like looking at all that horrible stuff forever. But if you feel like looking at it, man, you'll see that there's a lot of stuff lined up. That's why a bunch of people are upset and pissed off with the way the verdict went down. Not that anybody thought that it was cool that this guy died. Not that anybody thought that police can just kick the crap out of you if they feel like it. But there's just a lot of information that is out there that you should probably go check out.
Yeah, I watched the whole trial. If I was on that jury, I'm voting not guilty. I don't think the prosecution made their case whatsoever.
I didn't think, from what I saw, I didn't think so either.
Yeah, I would have been voting not guilty.
Beginning, I'm not saying he shouldn't have been kicked off the police force and stuff, because I wouldn't
even have gone that far. I would not have seen him kicked off the force.
See, here's where Guns and Barbecue has got a very, very valid point with what he's talking about, his training, getting it over with the crowd of people showing up there, the amount of cops. He could have called in 50 more cops, and they could have got that guy in the back of a paddy wagon and just left the scene. And there was some stuff that could have been fixed just to quell some of the 9-minute outrage video that everybody flipped out about.
Yeah, that's one of the issues that can lead to a mistrial, is the amount of news coverage this case got. There's no way that in that area he was going to get an impartial jury. It just wasn't going to be possible. That case should have had a change of venue. That's another thing that the judge stated. Why he didn't grant that in the first place, I don't know. The Maxine Waters thing, the judge, when he's talking to the defense and everybody, he's out, when the jury's out deliberating, he flat out says that that's a cause for appeal right there. What Maxine Waters was doing right outside the courtroom. Yeah, she was out there calling for violence as the jury is deliberating.
Yeah, and my next question is, so they go for a appeal. I mean, is he ever going to get a fair trial in Minnesota now?
in the state of Minnesota, no.
He,
But
he better go to Jupiter if he wants to get a fair trial.
yeah, here's the thing. It's a murder conviction. This could go all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court.
True. And
Amy Coney Barrett will hang him out to dry. Sorry, Squid.
No, I was just going to say, I doubt it. The Supreme Court isn't hearing any cases at all. They're not really working. They're kind of, not accountable to anybody.
I said could. I didn't say would. I said it could go to the Supreme Court.
So I got another question, and one thing, I'm not really trying to comment so much on the case as, like you have just mentioned, more my personal training and experiences. Why the hell, if he's having a panic attack, lay me down, all that fun jazz, why was his knee placed on the net? And did they ever go over why they're trained to put the knee on the net? Because when I was trained, when you're cuffing somebody, something like that, you put your knee between the shoulder blades.
Okay.
That's where his knee basically was. His knee wasn't on his neck, kind of like a rear naked choke with the neck. You know what I mean? With the knee, it was across his shoulder blades, basically.
Yeah. If you watch the entire video close up, there's just that one still where he lost his balance towards the beginning of the whole situation, where his knee slides a little bit towards Floyd's neck. Most of the time, his knee was actually by George Floyd's left shoulder blade.
If you go to the Tatum report, TATUM, it's a YouTuber named Brandon Tatum has got a website, and he's got every second of the footage there. Or you can go to a YouTube channel called AK Nation, like AK like the gun Nation, and you'll have to search kind of far back, and he's got every second of all the available George Floyd video.
Yeah, and here's another aspect of this that came out during the trial, which I don't know how many of you saw this part. They kept, the media big narrative. They never called EMS. Yeah, they actually did. They called EMS at the beginning of the point where he was on the ground. They were told EMS would be there within 3 minutes. One of the main reasons why George Floyd was on the ground for almost 10 minutes is because EMS was late arriving.
Well, my other thing, though, is why did he feel the need to kneel on him in the first place? If they said we took him out because he's having a panic attack, we laid him down because
he was resisting. And the training manual stated that when somebody's resisting and you have them in that position, place a little bit of your weight on their back to keep them in one position.
All right, this is the part where I'm confused about, though, is if they're saying we pulled him out because he's having a panic attack.
That's not why they pulled him out. They pulled him out because he was asking to be put on the ground, and he was resisting to the point where they could not get the doors to the vehicle closed. So they put him in that position and called EMS to deal with him because he started telling them that he had taken too many drugs, and he had gotten a cut on his face from the point where he was resisting after they got him out of the vehicle and actually had him on the ground, and he was still resisting.
Gotcha. Okay.
And he was able, and to show that he didn't have his knee on his neck, there is clips in that video, the full-length video that they showed in court, where he is actually lifting his head up and looking around.
And then my last question is, when he was done struggling, why the hell didn't they get him up and try and get him back in the car?
Because their training is that just because and this is something that police deal with on a routine basis, somebody will stop resisting once you have them on the ground, and as soon as you go to pick them up, they'll start resisting again.
Yeah, you're going to have that, but you can't just sit there on somebody for 30 minutes and say...
He wasn't sitting on for 30 minutes.
I'm being hyperbolic here. I'm just saying, whether it's 8 minutes or 30 minutes, you don't just sit there until you wait. Well, no. I think he's...
You got to let him talk, right?
Yeah, but the whole reason why they had him there is because they were expecting EMS to be there in 3 minutes, and EMS was taking longer than what they were supposed to get there, according to the dispatcher. The dispatcher that they talked to on their radios and then called EMS told them that EMS told them that they would be there in 3 minutes. EMS was late, and there was a crowd forming that was getting hostile. The guy that testified for the prosecution, who was their MMA expert, threatened the police officers. He told them that he would beat the F out of them if he got to them. You had one guy that was actually holding him back so that he couldn't get to the cops. So that one of the reasons they were distracted by the crowd as well as what was happening with Floyd himself.
And again, they had 4 officers there. Once he's done struggling, they could have said, "Hey, bud,
hold on. They had 3 officers. One was actually not at the car itself, which is another fallacy that came out in the trial. The media tells you that there were 4 officers trying to get him in the car. No, there were actually 3 officers trying to get him in the car. The Asian officer was actually over at the other site from where they walked Floyd from with Floyd's drug dealer and the girl that was in the car still, keeping them, making sure that they didn't leave sight.
Okay.
There was actually only 3 officers.
What I'm saying is you still have 4 officers on scene. So once you are like, all right, this guy seems to be chilling out now, you say, all right, we're going to try and get you into a seated position. We got EMS on the way. And if he decides to start struggling again, then you put him back down.
That's not the way they were trained.
But you're surmising what they might have done.
You're Monday afternoon quarterbacking. I mean, purely.
I don't think so.
But
I don't think so.
Monday morning quarterbacking from personal experience, personal training.
Yes, and that's the problem. You had different training than they did. You can't base what they did on your training. You have to base it on the training they had. And according to the training in their manual, they were following what their training and manual stated. If you want to indict anything, you have to indict their training and not them. They were doing what they were taught to do.
And that's what I was about to say. If that's their training, I mean, they're following their book, then, you know, that sucks. That's what it was, but they're following their training, and at that point, it's on the department.
Yeah, exactly. That's my take. That's why I said that there shouldn't have been any action against Chauvin personally. He was just doing what he was taught to do. If you're going to take any action, it's got to be against the department, which after the trial, I have no problem with the city paying his family for wrongful death. If they were trained that way, then it's on the city at that point. It's not on the individual officer.
Yeah. And the city only paid that trying to calm the city down.
And that should not have happened until after the criminal trial.
Absolutely. Because the way that looked at to me, they're saying, oh, he's guilty anyway, you know? So, I don't know. Anyway, I just, that went into a hell of a discussion. You could go on for a long time, you know? But,
but Rick, this is what people tune in for. This is what people want to watch.
I know, because I want to bring up the next one. I mean, what about the latest one there with the big mama?
Oh, the one in Columbus?
Yeah.
That is a clear case of a righteous shooting. That there was no doubt that if he did not shoot her, somebody else was going to end up dead.
But she was only 16. She was only a child.
I hate that bullshit.
Yeah. You know what? At 16, if he would have arrested her after she stabbed and killed her, she's charged with first-degree murder and going away for life anyway. What difference does it make if she was 16? She's still acting as an adult.
If she's 16 or she's 6, when she picks up that knife and decides to chase somebody with it, she's made an adult decision. She's going to suffer an adult consequence.
Oh yeah, I thought he'd done the right thing. You know, he saved that other. He saved that other girl from dying, you know? So I think he'd done the right thing. But the way the other, you know, some guy said, you know, that's what happens in school. Let them fight, you know? Jesus Christ. I mean, if anybody pulled a knife out when I was at school, the teachers confiscated it from them. They didn't get to use it, you know?
No, Rick, if the cops...
Real quick, I'll just put a link out in the chat. If you're interested in knowing what the news is, go check out AK Nation, and you'll actually start seeing some of the news. And then you'll learn a whole lot about how dangerous 13-year-olds are.
So let's say
yeah.
let's say the cops showed up and they kept their distance and they were just trying to keep the situation from more people coming into the situation, and they watched this happen. It's all on their body cams. And they go, well, we just let them keep doing it because that's what they do in school. They're just kids. They're just fighting, and one ended up stabbed to death or maimed for life. And you don't know if this girl would have stopped with the one person, if she would have turned it on somebody else, if she would have turned it on the police. You don't know. And then they would be saying, the police didn't do their job. They weren't protecting us. Okay, what are you supposed to do? I am the first person to jump on law enforcement when they screw up. I am. And they've got a tough job. I've seen situations where they've made really bad judgment calls, or they've had real bad training, or they don't exactly have the best person for the job, but I suppose that's the only one they could get, and they screw up bad. And then there's other times where it's an ugly situation, it's a difficult, but they did the best they could with what they had, and I would have done the same thing or something similar. So as much cop bashing as I do, I also support them when I think they make a good call. This has nothing to do with color, but like the first thing you're talking about, that's what they want to do. They want to turn it into a color thing and avoid the real issue here. And it's like, these people are criminals. They are criminals. And I don't care if they're black, white, yellow, purple, green, blue, whatever. I don't care about any of that stuff. They're a criminal. When a cop harasses somebody who is not a criminal, I will not stand for that. I will bash the cops publicly. Or when they escalate something or that didn't need to be escalated, they could have de-escalated it. Or when they violate somebody's rights, they violate somebody's privacy, something like that, I am going to bash the cops. But when they are dealing with an obvious criminal, this is cut and dry, obvious. We've got video footage and witnesses and everything else. Any one of us can look at that and go, the cop did the right thing. To hell with color, to hell with any of that stuff. But that's not what happens, is it? They use this to divide us. It's a bunch of horse shit.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, and can we address the 500-pound gorilla in the room? This was not an isolated incident where the girl was just running around with the knife. If you watch the officer's body cam where he's not concentrating on, her father is beating the hell out of another kid on scene at the same time that his daughter is trying to stab this other girl.
Yeah, he's the one that was kicking that shit out of the one on the ground.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was more to it than what's going on. But this all comes down to is so the country is being divided. We are going way past back in the 60s. We're going even deeper back with this race bullshit going on. Yeah, I mean, America has had its problems. But I feel, decade after decade, the country is getting better. Back in the days when there was slavery all over the world, and there still is today. But you know what I'm saying? But as time's gone on, we've got better. I mean, we had the civil rights movement back in the 60s. I'm not saying there isn't people who are prejudiced today. I would imagine there is. There's some down here in this part of Indiana where I live. Some of them still use the N-word. You know what I'm saying? In normal conversation.
Yeah, but it's not a we. Everybody always. I'm tired of hearing that. It's not we. America there's not a we. It's the same then as it is today. You're left. You're Democrats. You're liberals. You're libertarians. I know a whole bunch of y'all are going to get twisted because I called libertarians communists, but you basically are. Get over it.
Yeah, I agree.
They're the same people. If you track back almost every single negative thing that the United States has ever had to face, you can pretty much lay it right at the feet of the Democrat Party. And that's the whole umbrella. So if your grandmother was voted for Democrat her whole life, either your grandmother didn't know what she was voting for, or your grandmother was a commie too. So get mad at me or go ahead. I don't care. This is nonsense. Before America became America, what was at the time Virginia, women were writing letters to the king saying, we don't want slavery here. And the king told them, shut up. So before America was America, we were fighting against slavery and racism and all this classism and stuff like that. It's not a we issue; it's a them issue.
Yeah, and here's a perfect example. After the Civil War, when blacks first gained their freedom from slavery in the United States, during Reconstruction, and you had the Republicans take over the House and Senate. A lot of people don't know this. We had the first black Speaker of the House back then. Tell somebody take your average person on the street and ask them if there's ever been a black person with Speaker of the House. They'll tell you no.
Ask them if they've ever heard of Huron Rebels.
Ask them when the military was first integrated. I bet they won't know that it was during Reconstruction. It was Woodrow Wilson. What party did Woodrow Wilson belong to? Who resegregated the military because he didn't think blacks were fit to fight alongside white people. Prior to that, the military was fully integrated. You had black officers giving orders to white soldiers in the military at that point. Woodrow Wilson is the reason why FDR had to Truman had to desegregate the military during World War II and after.
So
This is an attack on the mind and attack on the spirit. That's why they're going into elementary schools right now. I've been warning you that they're coming after your children, and I don't know if people are paying attention or not, but your children are number one on their hit list. They're putting pornographic material in kids' classes already. They're putting all kinds of crazy stuff and communist stuff in your kids' classes already. This is a psychological warfare. If we allow them to control our language the way we do and to control definitions and meanings and all that kind of stuff, we are going to get destroyed. That's why we're in the position we're in, is because we played their game all this time. Assault weapon, okay, assault weapon. No, not assault. High capacity mat, instead of stopping it right away. All this nonsense. You allow them to control all this narrative, as people say, and that's why they have the power that they have. That's why Don Lemon can go in and talk to 5 people on his network, and then Chicago is on fire later that night.
Oh, yeah.
And this really, really, if you pay attention, started ramping up. I mean, it's always been going on, but it really started ramping up in the 60s. If you look at the Eisenhower administration, you had a Republican House, a Democrat Senate at one point. The Republican House passed the Civil Rights Act in the 1950s. It went to the U.S. Senate. The Senate Majority Leader at the time was Lyndon Johnson. He blocked the Civil Rights Act in the 50s from getting passed. What did he sign in 1964 when he was sitting in the White House? That very same bill that he kept blocking. Why? Because it was a political move. What is the legend that LBJ said when he signed that bill? We'll have these blanks voting Democrat for the next 100 years. He didn't do it because he cared about civil rights. He did it because it was politically expedient for his party. Prior to the 1960s, the black population in the United States overwhelmingly voted Republican. That switched in the 60s, and it started with LBJ signing the Civil Rights Bill.
Yeah.
Under Jim Crow, blacks were probably the most, per capita, were probably the most successful people in America. The most single nuclear families, the most college educated, the most, what do they call it, upward mobility. Black people under Jim Crow. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I agree with you. I'm not arguing with you, and I agree with you on the on the other stuff, the liberals, the libertarians, and all that. I agree with you. I mean, to me, the libertarians, you be you, do what you got to do. I mean, the problem is they don't take a stand against anything, and that's why everything's so fucked up.
Most of you guys are old enough. Back in the 80s, when the gay rights movement came on, and everybody was like, hey, we better be careful about this. And everybody, oh, you're a bigot, you're an idiot. Why do you care what they do? And, well, I'm just kind of concerned that, I don't want, mom marrying their kid later. That's never going to happen. Well, I don't want people marrying turtles later and identifying and all the stuff that we were saying back in 1980 and all through the 80s during the gay rights movement. And we were called racist, we were called bigots, we were called stupid and KKK and all that kind of crap. Every bit of it is happening today.
Yeah.
And now that I'm standing here saying, watch this tranny movement, watch this trans and bi and LGBT movement, everybody call me a bigot and a racist. That's never going to happen. That's never going to happen. Go ahead, watch.
Hey, and we've even got it on our 4473 now. Male, female, or non-binary. You get a choice.
Well, Caitlin Jennings is running for California governor as a Republican.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I saw that.
Honestly, I think it's freaking great because all those leftists that are, pro this and pro that, and if you're not, you're a bigot, a sexist, racist, all those things, they're going to go after her, him, whatever the pronoun you're supposed to use is, and the hypocrisy is going to be astounding.
Yeah, well, the proper pronoun is him. Once a Bruce, always a Bruce.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bruce Jenner, you're not a woman, and your name is not Caitlin.
Yeah.
But she is a lesbian.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the big thing with this. If you, again, thanks psychology class when I was in college, most transsexuals are not homosexual. If that makes sense, they still like the actual biological opposite sex. So I'm telling you, I've said it before, I've said it jokingly, but I'm telling you, Bruce Jenner took the joke that he was a lesbian trapped in a man's body too seriously. He took it too literal. That's why he went and decided he was going to be Caitlyn instead of Bruce.
All right, real quick, if I can hijack. I'm sorry for hogging up. I know Patriot wants to say something too. Yes or no, Rick, does Caitlyn Jenner get elected governor of California? Go.
No.
Will Malone, yes or no?
Who?
Yes.
Rich.
God, that stays so goddamn crazy. I don't even know if I don't even want to make a prediction on that one. I mean,
Squibby.
I can see it going either way.
What do you think, Squib? Does he get elected? Squib might be busy. Go ahead, Guns and Barbecue. What do you think?
Honestly, I don't know. I'd like to see it because then they have a Republican governor, and that could bode well. But I think just because of the R behind the name, probably not.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Okay, Patriot, go ahead. I promise I'll be quiet now.
Oh, no, I think definitely, but, Schwarzenegger was a Republican too, so that doesn't really mean anything. I don't know the politics of him, but
okay.
Yeah, but sure, I'm sure that's going to be a push, just because of his life choices or whatever. But
yeah. As far as Bruce Jenner's politics, he's much more conservative than what Schwarzenegger was.
No, well, that doesn't mean much.
Yeah, no, he supported Trump and all that stuff too. So
now I got something for you there, Rick.
Yes.
You guys were talking about the knifer, that knifer girl,
Yeah.
or whatever. Well, that kind of, I could care less because I don't live in Columbus and it doesn't affect me. But it kind of brought up something I want people to think about, right? So you're in a self-defense situation, right? You stop an attacker, situation 1, right? You have somebody that's going to do you harm, right? You stop the attack, you stop them. You do your little 911 call, short, abridged, whatever, right? And you wait. All right. Situation 2, there's an attacker, you stop them, you make the call, and then their 2 buddies show up, right? So where you have to stop them, right? And then obviously you make your 911 call. And the other one that it's kind of, I don't know, it really puts a focus on what you say on 911, right? Unless you're on NBC where they just cut out half the stuff or leave off that, Trayvon said, yeah, well, answering questions. How important it is to describe who you are. Yes, I've been attacked. I had, blah, blah, blah. I am the, 7 foot tall, one-eyed monster, whatever you got to describe yourself, because you have a second attacker that's physically running towards you, and the cops show up, even though you called, and you pull your gun to shoot or knife or whatever, right? When a officer shows up at a situation, they're in charge of that situation, right? Put your gun down, lay on the ground until we figure out who's who, right? So one of the, if that came up, it's just something to think about, because some people were saying, oh, that the girl that got shot was the one that called. Well, it doesn't matter. When you show up and you're attacking somebody, well, I mean, obviously that's different if you're lunging at somebody, but I don't know. What do you think?
Even still, the girl that got shot is the one that called.
I don't care about that situation. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about those two situations.
Oh, you mean like when you make your initial call, then 911, you describe yourself to them?
Well, yeah, you should, because like me, I don't know what the hell other people look like, so I know what I'm wearing, right? So I would describe myself, but what happens if somebody shows up? This is you're living in some bad place.
Because off the top of my head, once I made my 911 call, say I've been attacked and I defended myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once if I have to tell them where I'm at, I'm on the corner of, 5th and 3rd or whatever. I've been attacked. I defended myself. And you see it all the time. Hang on the line till the police gets there. Fuck you. I'm hanging up. Because I'm not going to start babbling shit that might be used against me.
Yeah, the biggest concern I had was, okay, they show up. What if there was, a group of people showing up and you were maybe defending yourself? Is that a situation?
Oh, so I shot somebody, right? And he's down. And then I made the call. I'm sitting there waiting for him to show up. Then the rest of the gang show up.
Or he gets up because you're not a good shot or whatever, and starts to rush you.
And then the police are coming.
Yeah, because everybody's got tunnel vision. You're focused on what's going on. You're not supposed to, but somebody starts coming at you. You pull up and shoot.
I'm gonna. If somebody's coming at me, I'm going to defend myself.
I don't know. It's just something to think about.
Yeah, it is. It is because it could be. I mean, like if, as you said, I shot that guy. He's down. He's been laying there for 10 minutes. He finally gets up, decides to go at me again. I pull my gun to put him down again, just as the police show up, and they pull out their guns and shoot me because I'm the one with the gun.
You got to take it. There's your gambling odds.
Yeah.
You know the guy you shot was trying to kill you because you didn't pull your gun out because he was calling your mom bad names. So you popped him. He's laying on the ground. You reholster, call the cops. You're waiting there, making sure whatever you're going to do. I don't know if you reholster or you hold him at gunpoint or whatever. When he gets back up and comes back at you again, you know 100% for a sure fact he's coming to get you. When the cops show up, you don't know whether or not they're going to shoot you or not when you plug this guy. I take the chance and I plug the guy because the cop might not shoot you, especially if the cop knows I'm standing there with a blue hat on and I just defended myself with my gun. They pull up and see a guy with a gun with a blue hat, pop a guy again. I'm going to hope that they got a pretty good idea of what's going on there. But I know that the guy I just shot's getting up to come at me again, so he's getting another round.
Yeah, so there you go. But then again, you said the cops know you're the guy in the blue hat, so you would, in the initial call, you would say that.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I'm going to describe myself. If I shot somebody, And I'm waiting for the cops to show. Like, I call the cops. I'm going to describe what I look like. So when the cops show up and see me standing there in a white T-shirt and a blue hat, they know I'm the guy that called the cops. At least I'm going to hope that's enough you can hope for. You know, it's a gamble. A cop might pull up and just blast you anyway. Who knows? But
Yeah.
you know that the guy on the ground is going to get up and attack you. You just show him. He's not going to get up and say, "Oh, man, I'm sorry."
You know? Yeah,
There
but
have been situations where the person on the other end talking to the dispatch at 911 gives them all of the relevant information, and dispatch fails to give it to the responding officers. I'm not saying it's a common thing, but it has happened.
Yeah, they might not even catch it
It's a
enough
gamble.
to think about it to pass on.
yeah, but when I call 911, I'm going to tell them the minimal, what I have to. And I'm not hanging on the line till 911 shows up. Because because they're going to start asking you questions, you start saying stuff, and it's all being recorded, and something could come back to bite you in the ass. You know? So I'll say what I need to say. Like you said, good point. I say, I'm the big, blonde, fat guy wearing the baseball hat. Then I'm going to hang up. I'm not staying on the line.
Can and will be used against you in a court of law.
Yeah, yeah.
Or on NBC.
But under British law, it says may be used against you.
Yeah, I have a T-shirt on that to go to Patriots Point that says you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say will be taken out of context and used against you.
Yeah, yeah.
And Patriot made a pretty good point. Depending on how high profile of a situation it is, you're not really worried about the jury or the judge or the courtroom. You're worried about, Fredo Cuomo and CNN getting that tape.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because I just heard that with that Trayvon or whatever, that I think that was the one, right, where NBC actually edited out the part where the 911 caller says, "Well, is it a white, black, or Hispanic?" And he said, it looks black. I think he looks black or something like that. Well, they edited out that center section to make it like, oh yeah, this guy's walking around. He looks shady. I think he's black. And that sounds a lot different than saying, oh, he's walking around. It's raining out and he's just looking around. He's up to no good. And they said, what color is he? Oh, he seems to be black. That sounds a lot different than, oh, he's black. He's doing something wrong.
Yeah, and let's not forget the media also edited George Zimmerman's race to try and make him sound more white when he's half Hispanic. They totally.
But that might have been the right one. I don't know. It's the one with the hoodie and the Skittles. Or whatever.
They edited out the part.
Zimmerman was Zimmerman, the guy that shot Trayvon, was half Hispanic and half Jewish, and the media edited to make it sound like he was white. Totally left out the part that he was half Cuban.
Yeah, he became a white Hispanic. They also edited out the part where Rachel Gentile testified in open court under oath that Trayvon Martin said he was going to hang around and beat up the fag. So that's why he was standing around the corner when George Zimmerman turned it, because he was going to beat the fag up. Sorry, Rich, I ain't trying to get you for using the F word, but it's repeating courtroom document facts.
Yeah, but also didn't the media edit the part about that girl having a knife?
Yeah.
NBC.
They said she dropped it.
Yeah.
But they were going by what the aunt told them.
Now they say what looks like a knife.
Yeah.
When they reported on it, they said what looks like a knife.
They said they found the knife after the fact on the ground. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see what the aunt said? And that was totally just totally destroyed by the video.
Yeah.
The aunt says that she was there and she saw her drop the knife before the officer shot her, that she complied with the officer's request. The aunt wasn't there at all. And she was just parroting what the girl's dad had told her happened. The one that was kicking the crap out of the other kid. And here's another thing going back to that case. Why was her father even on scene at that scene? She was in foster care, which means she was removed from her parents. Why the hell was her father even there? He was violating the law even being there.
Yeah, I don't know all the ins and outs, but the video tells it all. Her hand had that knife and it was coming down when the first bullet hit her.
There's a difference going back to understanding criminality. If I'm standing on the street corner and Patriot and his gang come up and we start fighting, now we're both serious. When the cops show up, we stop fighting. And we might even pretend like we're getting along and it was just a little squabble between friends. This ratchet chick started attacking people after the cops showed up.
Mm-hmm.
That means she's a psychopath. She's not just a criminal, she's a psychopath. Because a criminal, the number one thing is don't get locked up. That's the number one objective for a criminal every single day is don't get arrested, don't get killed. And she attacked, and her dad attacked those people after the cops showed up.
Yeah, if you watch the video, she doesn't start. Her and the girl in pink are standing on the sidewalk. She doesn't start chasing her until the officer is walking towards them. The cops were on the scene before she started chasing that girl.
Yeah, that's the point I was going to make to what Patriot said, that people are saying the girl that did the stabbing is the one who called 911. And I say, it doesn't matter, anybody that's saying that, because once the police are there, if you choose to fucking stab somebody, you're going to get shot.
I mean, did they ever, because I haven't watched all of it, did they say why she made the call in the first place?
They were arguing over cleaning up the house. That's why the fight started. Because it's like some type of foster home or whatever. And I don't know exactly how deep we go, but my quick understanding is one of the grown-er foster kids showed up that I guess had moved out or was doing right with their life or whatever, and seen the house was all jacked up and started complaining about it. And that's when they started fighting.
Yeah, and whichever girl it was, I'm wanting to say it was the girl that was in pink, because she said that when she called the police, she says on 911 call that they were trying to hit her grandmother. So the way I think that this went down was that one of the grandmother of the girl in pink. This is just assuming from the way the 911 video or call went. This could all change if it goes to court or what have you. But it seems like the girl in pink's grandmother was the one running the foster home. The girl with the knife, I guess, went to slap her or something. The girl in pink called the cops. The cops show up, and when the cops show up is when she starts chasing her with a knife. And apparently the girl with the knife went into the house, went into the kitchen, and came out with a kitchen knife, and that's the kind of knife that she had. She was trying to stab her with, is a kitchen knife. I put that in there because Vanessa was asking what kind of knife it was. But they said
Jason Stewart said she didn't drop the knife because she couldn't breathe.
Mm-hmm. And somebody on one of the shows was asking, I don't remember if it was during Gary's show last night or somewhere, where if there was what the girl who was saved by the cops said. There's a clip of her being escorted to the cop's vehicle by the police officer after he had shot the girl with a knife, and as they're walking to his car, because he was going to take her over to the car and question her and try and calm her down and everything for all of this, and she is profusely thanking the officer the whole way that he is escorting her to the car.
I got a question, firearms related. We always talk about over-penetration. Did any of those bullets come out and hit that car? Have any of these shootings recently had any over-penetration? Like, is there any story about any of that kind of stuff?
I didn't hear about it.
No, if you look at the video and the positioning of the girl and where the officer would have hit her, if there was any over-penetration, they probably would have hit the girl in pink. At least
that's
one
kind of
of them.
why I was bringing that up. Yeah.
I mean, I've mentioned this before, and I was shot down because I don't. I said, how often is over penetration actually happen?
I don't think it happens very often at all. I think it's extremely rare. I think most of the time the concern is you missed.
Missing. Yeah. There's more missing than over-penetrating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's pretty safe to
Yeah.
say he had critical defense or some type of fragmentable ammo.
Yeah, some kind of expanding hollow point ammunition would be my guess. I don't. Some departments do have frangable. I mean, there are some departments too. I don't know if Columbus does or not. My guess would be more along the lines of a HST or a critical duty or something along those lines. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've never heard of a police force using ball ammunition at all.
No, not anymore.
They all use that kind of stuff at the range.
If they're
Yeah,
I've been
not around
told
here. They use self defense ammo at the range I shoot at, and I pick up all that nickel plated brass. My tax dollars coming back to me.
Yes, Woody.
Yeah, I know the agencies around here. Most of them are using Federal American Eagle hollow points.
I know that
Yeah,
the one.
Tulai Moo in the chat said she was pretty fat though. She was a big girl. She was a big girl. So are you? She's pretty fat. Are you got something against fat people there, Tulai Moo? You know,
No,
using that
have you
word?
seen? Have you seen Two Live Moo? He's not a skinny guy either. So, but yeah,
I know. I'm just busting his ass.
yeah, I know. So was I. But yeah,
all right.
Around here, getting into what the agencies here use. Locals use Hornady, Critical Duty, and the Sheriff's Department uses HST. And I know Sarge has said before that his department uses HST.
And you know what? I just had a thought. I'm kind of curious. I would love to see a ballistics test done of personal defense ammo traveling through fat and through muscle, because muscle obviously is a lot denser. So would that actually be worse if the person was fatter, or is it just going to help no matter what?
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to matter so much. Watch one of Paul Harrell's meat target videos. Usually, once you get into the meat and everything, those bullets start expanding if they're well made, and you don't get a whole lot of over penetration from them just with meat target.
Yep.
Yeah.
Most of the bullets when he shoots the meat target are stopped, if not by the meat and ribs on the back of it, but at least by the T-shirt material that he has over it.
You know that it's all going to be
it goes all the way
re-edited, right?
through. You know. Yeah. So anyway,
Richard's going to get in trouble. They're going to re-edit this.
yeah. Hey, I'm not earning any money off it anyway, so it don't really matter. You know. Anyway, guys, I'm going to call it quits. My cats are circling. I'm getting hungry. Whatever happened to what you call it, New York Outcast?
I don't know.
He probably dropped out when everybody was talking over top of each other and yelling at each other earlier.
Yeah. So, anyway, we're going to wind it up because it's 10 to thing. Oh, my quiz.
Yeah, quiz, man, quiz.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Now, what I asked was, in the Man with No Name Westerns, besides Clint Eastwood, how many actors were in all three movies? Well, there might have been more, but I got 4. Mario Briga, Aldo Samburel, I don't know how to pronounce these Italian names, Benito Stefanelli, and Lorenzo Robodu or something. Anyway, I got a couple of, I got 2 or 3 entries here, I think. Let me hit my random picker and see who we got. All right. Rich White. And actually, I think Rich White, yeah, you had the correct answer. You're the winner.
Yeah. Did you get my email I sent you Wednesday? Because I sent you were asking for questions. I sent you a question in.
Yes, I did. So you're the winner for this week.
Rigged.
And for next week's, well, it's not next week's. It'll be in 2 weeks because I'm trying to make my swag last. I'm hoping that some of the boys who went over to, the gun show grabbed a whole bunch and can send me some. That's what I'm hoping for. But, oh, hell, what am I looking for? So today is what? The 24th. So it'll be on the 8th. The 8th of May will be the drawing of the next swag pack. So the question is, now this one, to be honest with you, I've never even heard of it because I'm not into this. But I'm going to ask it anyway for your younger generation. What is the main handgun used by the main character, Spike Spiegel, in the anime series Cowboy Bebop? Email me at rickslife@gmail.com or spottedrick@gmail.com. You got to the 8th of May.
Yeah,
You get that into me for the swag pack.
And that is the question I sent Rick. And yes, it is an actual real handgun that the character used. In that series, every one of the characters that uses a firearm, it is a real existing firearm that they use. The Japanese animators for that show did a very good job with animating the firearms in that show.
Yeah.
Can I send a picture of the actual gun?
The what?
Can I send a picture of the actual gun with those actual grips?
You have one?
Yeah.
Oh, you actually have one with the custom grip on it?
Yeah.
Oh man, I hate you right now.
Have you seen Wieldable Arms gun collection, man? I don't think there's anything he doesn't have.
Yeah, when we go off air, I will show you the T-shirt I'm wearing. I can't show you right now because it would give away the answer to Rick's question.
Yeah. Jerry Parker said, wasn't Lee Van Cleef in all of them? I don't think he was he?
No, he wasn't.
I think,
he was in 2 of them.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. So, all right. So let's go through here real quick. Kingpin, you got any shout outs or plugs?
No, just for you, man. Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure. I've been listening. I just haven't been able to join in very much.
No, I know. You've been very quiet today.
Very excellent conversation. Thanks for letting me babble on, and appreciate everybody. Thanks for coming.
No problem. Rich White, you got anything?
Yeah, tonight we are going to have a wrestling chat around 9:05 p.m. Eastern. We got to go with that TBS time. If anybody remembers when Superstation WTBS was 5 minutes behind every other channel. So because of that, and to pay homage to the old NWA wrestling show that was on there, we start at 9:05 instead of 9 o'clock. And then tomorrow night we'll have This Week Unloaded on the Unloaded Media channel as well. That'll be around 8:30 p.m. Eastern. So be sure to check both of those out.
All right. Great. Guns and Barbecue, you got anything?
Just like to say thanks for inviting me as always. Always a pleasure to sit here and go back and forth, especially with Rich. Him and I always get pretty heated. I enjoy it. Good stuff. I've got a show tonight at 8:30. Gonna be doing my AK Pro giveaway. Might do some other stuff, not sure. But this chat's more barbecue oriented. But it's not like we're gonna stay away from guns or anything. So we'll get into the guns and stuff too with that. So if anybody wants to come check that out and help me cork Rich, I think after our go around today, be a good way to kick off the first show. Also, I'm kind of feeling for Patriot in the Dark, I must say, since Squibb didn't go and pick him up for that gun show. He's probably standing out there, got his sunglasses on, his cane, hear a car go by, and he's like, oh, here he comes. And then car goes by, and oh, nope, he'll be here soon. 4 hours later, Patriot's still standing there. So everybody go over to Patriot in the Dark's Patreon and throw him a couple bucks, help him feel better.
All right. All right. Now, talking about that, the man, the myth, the legend, Patriot in the Dark, you got any shout outs or plugs?
No, thanks for having the show, Rick. Sorry I didn't show up, but nope.
That's fine.
I hope Squib has a good time with those. I was looking for one, but
trying to lay the guilt on him now. Squib,
No.
shout outs or plugs? Talk to me, Squib. No? All right. Did you hear Patriot? He wanted one of those rifles too. But,
I ignore Patriot, so I don't know. If he said something, I wasn't paying attention.
all right, Willie,
Was it
what
seven?
I'd still be on the way to his house if I decided to pick him up at the last second.
all right,
Yeah.
Willie armed.
I got a pouch style holster to put on my wheelchair. I did a video of it this morning, and tomorrow's video will be me doing some quick draws and shooting with it.
All right, there we go. So we got everybody. All right, I want to say thank you to everybody in the chat for stopping by. Really do appreciate it. Good conversation. I might not have. I read what nearly most of you all said. I'll keep trying to keep an eye on it, but I do appreciate it. I'll be back on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, the only time zone that matters, and I will see you all then. So I want to say good night, good evening, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Sabrina.
Thank you.
Adios.
Okay.